body position is so very, very important. As you can see, Brian is always moving on this motorbike. He's never ever static or stagnant. He's moving the whole time. You can see even coming into a corner, elbows out on the left hand side, right leg out, once again to counterbalance, not necessary to stop him from falling. And there his body goes again. The whole time, every muscle is moving, standing up, ready to preload. He preloads and then lifts, even with his elbows. A lot of people, specifically motocross riders, use this, specifically trials riders use this, and it's to such an advantage because it puts the motorbike in the right position at the right time all the time. And what it does is it almost makes you melt into the motorbike, even doing that little jump. You can see Brian's coming up to it. He preempts it, preloads it, and then stretches out. It's combining everything that we've spoken about and doing it to a natural way. In other words, it comes as a natural thing. He's not really thinking about it. His body is pretty much moving in alignment with the bike. Automatically, it's almost an unthought of action. And you can just see that the bike, it melts into his body and melts into his actual movement. It gives you such control, and it's so very nice to have that. The seat bounce on an off-road situation. Here we see Brian Capper doing it. You can see how good he is at doing this. Look how fluid that is. You can see it's so easy for him, but obviously this is a very, very big gully to get over, and look, most people make it this difficult. No, not really. Over here, Brian is actually just showing us an obstacle, a trench that is in an off-road event or enduro, and he's showing us what will happen if you don't really know how to seat bounce, or if you're too scared to actually just jump that gully and you have to ride through it. Once again, as we always say, watch the energy wasted. Efficiency goes out the window. He's burned a lot of calories and wasted a lot of time. All of us do this. Now watch us, watch us, watch us. Whoa! Isn't that just poetry in motion? All he's done there is preload as he's going to go over. Whoop, preload and over. Look how quick it is, but look, it just makes the obstacle, as we've said before, obsolete. And it looks so cool. Look at that. Look at the launch that he's actually getting there. He's preloading with his weight, on the butt. Preload, and then he springs up with his legs. You can see he's extending his legs now. What he's doing is actually extending that back shock, which has given him height and the ability to clear a hole or an obstacle that is directly in his path without having too much speed at his disposal or run up at his disposal. Just look at that extension. His legs are extending. You can see the bike's extended up. It's bunny hopped, or as we said, seat jumped. Very, very nice method. The hill climb and how we mostly do it, most of us normal people. Feet off the bike, as you can see, straddling over, never having the correct balance point. You can see Brian is dramatizing there, but a little bit of a pedal, out of control. You can see the whole time there's no confidence in this attempt, hitting in the wrong rut, then just gassing it. That is disastrous, absolutely disastrous. Brian is just trying to also show you the amount of energy that is wasted. What you're looking at there is probably 500 calories being burnt just doing this little exercise. You cannot believe, if you cook yourself like this in one climb and you've still got another 40, your day is almost finished. Then of course you're on the wrong side of the bike, and the possibility of you falling is great at this point because you're so unbalanced. Brian's doing a great job of showing us how it shouldn't be done, and I just hope he doesn't fall because his positioning isn't really great right now. And the event of this happening is, so good. And there you have it. As you can see, even lifting your bike from this point, to stress the amount of energy it takes, it's huge. It's almost ride destroying. It can destroy your entire enduro, and it can just take everything away. You can see once again, all of it. He's just opening the throttle. He's trying to pedal. He's trying to get grip. Now he's absolutely fraught, and that's Mr. King of Fitness himself. But anyway, keeps on going, and once again, pedaling. As you can see, just his own desire is just to get to the top. He's forgotten all about the right way to do it. He wheelies up to the top. He hits the groove, which is not necessarily the correct thing to do or the correct line to take. Straggling once again, straggling. Calories being burnt left, right, and center, and energy expended is horrendous. Watch this carefully and learn by this. I think you've all been down this road. I certainly have been down this road. And there are other ways to do it, and we'll learn that in a couple of seconds. the correct way of hill climbing, or doing this specific hill climbing anyway. Stopping over there, watch Brian's body. Look at his body language. He's telling you he's confident. He's way over the front bars, you can see that. Bearing a bit to the right, although, look at his left leg. You will see he has weighted his left peg because he knows he's going to be turning right. So he'll want to be weighting at that a little bit to almost incorporate a pivot. His body is way forward, and if you can see his head, he is looking ahead. And as we move on, and he goes through that there, stopping right there, he's now pulled his body a little bit back to try and get a little bit more weight over that rear tire so that traction is in its fullest form. You can also see, or if you can see, look at his foot peg and how you can see he's almost pushing the bike, thrusting it into the ground to give him that optimum traction. And as he goes up further, you will see he almost pivots it. He's kept the front wheel light. Even at this shot now, you can see he's got some unsprung weight and he's stood up. The front wheel, you can look, is almost a little bit lifted above that. Just before we got to that point, you can see the front wheel was actually lifted 5 or 6 centimeters because he needed to put it where he wanted the front wheel to go. Now he's in that position where he knows exactly where the front wheel is. He's crested the first part of his obstacle and he's now in the middle of the bike. Once again, doing that, you saw that little seesaw, almost a little noddy move, back and forth, to make sure that the back wheel's traction is gripping and biting, but that the front wheel is also staying true. Moving on, you can see his body is in the center, now going towards the back, a little bit forward again. Never stagnant. Watch it. It's never stagnant. He's always back and forth. Left, right, up, and crest. Note right at that crest. If you look carefully, his head is probably just over the handlebars. He's probably looking at the fender around about now because he wants his weight right forward to almost bring the bike over the crest of the hill. Body in the center, and yeah, you can see he's already killed this hill. He's already crested it, and the amount of energy involved, minimal. And efficiency, 100%. So learn by that. Look at the previous one, learn by that. This morning, we're going to be showing you how to do the typical log crossing. We're very, very fortunate to have Brian Capper here, multi-time Supermoto champion, trial champion. He knows what he's doing. The whole point of this little exercise now is to have a little obstacle, which I've experienced in my riding and in off-road riding, a log. But you cannot believe how much energy it takes and how people battle with it. Now Brian's going to show us firstly how the normal way to do it and the amount of energy you actually use, and to show you that it's not that efficient. So first 1 or 2 shots, you're going to see Brian doing it how it should not be done, and then we'll show you the proper technique on how it should be done. Thank you, Brian, if you can get a go with that. As you can see, you do get obstacles in an enduro or any competition like logs, and they scare people. And this is the normal reaction. Look at that. They bash their front tires in, and whoa! And they get out of control. People don't realize that this takes energy. This takes energy and saps energy. And in an enduro, that's 6 hours. You have to do this 6 or 7 times, and a couple of them, that'll certainly take it on you. You can see, out of control. Front wheel whacks in. Brian is obviously dramatizing this, because he obviously can do it better. But you can see, it gets stuck. It's untangled. Nothing smooth about it. The whole operation is uncontrolled. And it's so inefficient. That is so inefficient. And just by learning little techniques, de-weighting, remember trials teaches you such a lot, that now we're going to show from Brian's many years of trials experience how he's carried it over to off-road. Now many people think, well, trials is a different story. It's not. You carry the same techniques across to an off-road bike. Just watch this. Brian's going to show us now how he would do it in an enduro using the de-weight technique. Now take a careful look. Bah! Did you see that? Front wheel went into the log, he de-weighted over it, and the back wheel carried it straight over. It is so efficient, it is frightening. Watch it from the front.
Now watch carefully. Here he comes. He preloads. Bah! Oh! Preloads and lets the suspension actually jump up to the back log. He'll do it one more time. Watch carefully now. Front suspension, whack in the rock. Whack! Wah! Wah! Did you see that? The back wheel jumped from there to there. It took the entire obstacle out of the equation. Now, from the front wheel, watch again. One more time. Watch the front suspension. Watch carefully. You will see. Here he comes, lift, bah, whoa, bah. It's pretty much also called the double blip. You could hear it, bah, wah, and the bike went right over as if it was not there. It's a way of, some people say it's cheating. It is, because you're making an obstacle obsolete. You're making it smooth. You can just float it over there. This is a technique that you have to learn. Let's watch that again. Now just watch carefully. Setup is everything. Setup, wah, front wheel, check where it is. Okay, that's good balance. See the front wheel's punched in there. Now, wah, and it bumps over. Look at that. That was exaggerated, but you cannot believe how efficient that is. You've got to learn. It's a double punch or a double blip technique. If you can do that, the amount of energy you will save is unbelievable. And of course it looks good to people because you get over it a lot quicker. And once again, if that was a very slippery log, it is slippery at the moment because it's slightly wet and it's burnt, but if it was covered with mud, you would see how that technique works because the back tire actually jumps forward.
Have you ever watched someone riding over an obstacle or obstacle clusters with their legs flying everywhere and out of control? It really just looks unneat, and you've got to know they're exerting a hang of a lot of energy. Now, what Brian is doing over here is we found a little obstacle course, call it, and we're just showing once again, trying to keep his feet on the course, how easy he makes it look and how it flows. Obviously there he's doing a little bit of a trial maneuver, which helps a hang of a lot. And you can just see everything comes, well, a lot easier. This is a pretty tight course we have set, and you can still see everything goes, and he goes over everything with minimal fuss. This is something that's so good to learn. And placing your front tire where you want it is such a good technique because it'll take a lot of energy to stop and maneuver the bike to where you want it. So just by doing this and learning these things, just going out into the veld and stopping and finding an obstacle like this, not a set-out course, just an obstacle course, and saying, right, how do I make it as hard as possible? How do I try and get within right angles of where I want to be? And then trying to accomplish that with letting the bike do the work. Note here once again, it's an important point. Let the bike do the work. Don't force yourself to pick the bike up. You're talking 105 kilograms to physically pick it up. It's hard work. So let the bike do the work. Let the engine do the work. And then let your body flow with that and become one with the bike. By doing this, you save such a lot of energy. And you make it so smooth that it keeps you fresh for the next couple of obstacles or the next series of obstacles that might lay before you. It's just so nice to have, and it's so nice to be able to use all of the bike's suspension and all of the bike's power, just like that. Okay, maybe not that one. It was a little bit of a fally-wally, and that shows you what will happen if you don't place your tire in the exact position or the right spot. That'll take a lot of energy out of you. Now, Brian is showing us over here the use of pivoting, or a slight pivot, not a big pivot, a slight pivot, just to realign the back wheel or the front wheel in the correct way.
The next segment, you're going to be watching the camber, or the off camber as we shall say it. Now watch Brian coming. He's first going to show us how it's not to be done, or how the normal person does it. Once again, we're going to be focused on energy conservation and efficiency. So watch how the first way he does it, how inefficient it is, and then we'll go through it on doing it the efficient way. Right, here comes Brian. As you can see, sitting, paddling along. Everything that he's doing here now is probably not the right way to do it, but it is what we all do. You can see front wheel slipping out because the front brake was put on too early, off angle, oh. Now that's a typical move. It's a typical move. That's what actually happens. You go around the off camber, gas it too much, your bike is not in the right position. So when you do give it gas, the back wheel just slips out. And then when you want to take off again, see what happens? you spin, you're out of control. The bike wants to wheelie. It's not good. It's an inefficient way of doing it. Off cambers are a part of life in enduro riding, and they're something you have to deal with. But if you learn to do them right, put a bit of effort into them, learn the technique, you cannot believe how good it can be. Now Brian will show us the correct way. This is how he would do it. Once again, focus on energy efficiency. Standing up, eyes forward, looking where he's going. Front wheel tucks in, goes. Beautiful, beautiful. In control. Out. Now that was, all that showed was control, confidence. By de-weighting, or not de-weighting, sorry, by putting your weight in the right ways. The left foot peg, the right foot peg. Brian, if you could just show us one more time, exaggerating your weight position. What we'd like to do here is, let me show you where the weight's going to be on the bike. He's going to lean it to the outside so the actual tire can grip on the outside. Just watch. Watch his leg movement and leg displacement. He's coming down, obviously bum a little bit over the bike, towards the back. Watch his legs and his body. You see that? See his weight? Look at his weight. There, well, okay, that was a bit of a foot. Naughty boy. But anyway, it showed his weight. He's basically coming down. Putting his weight on this side to give it more grip, keeping this side light. Will you do that one more time, Brian? He's going to show us one more time. So he's going around like this. This leg weighted on. So the weight carries the whole way through and then straightening up. Watch. Right, there he comes again. I never say this enough. Stand when you're coming down. Look where you're going. Watch where the front wheel goes. Take the line wide. Wait. Did you see that? His body position, how his body swings out. That's an off camber. That's how you attack an off camber. That's the way you do it properly. Low calorie consumption and energy consumption. That is what you want.
Precision riding. Just to be able to be precise with your bike and your wheels and your placement. To me, that's everything in riding, and Trials teaches you this a great deal. It gives you confidence to take a line that somebody else can't take, and just by practicing your skill on a wall, on a log, on a piece of slab, it'll give you such great confidence. Just looking at Brian over there, how precise he is on that little ledge. Now you don't realize that little wall is probably only about 10 to 12 inches wide. And he's just come up a step up to get onto it. And then almost stopped absolutely dead. And then to get off, he's placed his weight at the back, put power on, and placed the front where we wanted to afterwards. The precision is what makes it so exciting. And to try and practice precise or precision riding, to me that's the fun of riding. And Brian is surely one of the best at it. And as you can see, just jumping around, finding this, finding that, finding a little wall, finding a little step-up wall. Look at that. As I was saying, it's only a certain bit wide, but boy, it gives you confidence and it just helps you such a great deal.
We're going to show you now what most enduro riders do and what the normal action is. If Brian can first show us how it's not to be done, but what most people do. Have a look and see the energy that is wasted in this. He rides up to it, takes it, whoa! You can see, you get glanced off the log straight away. You have to get yourself in a position again, and all this time you're wasting a hell of a lot of energy. You ride off the bike, you have to waste energy picking the bike over the log, then you gas it, like most people do. Why they do this, I don't know. Whoa, whoa, whoa. And you're over. Your calorie count has gone up immensely. So it's just not efficient. You have wasted such a lot of energy in doing that, and we all do it because you're tired after your enduro or halfway through the enduro, and you do that type of thing. But that's typical on what the average person does, or what most of us do. Now Brian's going to show us an efficient way of doing it, because this is really about efficient riding. Watch carefully. Watch his front suspension. Watch his leg and his stance. There he goes. Wheel up, one shot and over. Back wheel might not look pretty. Let's do that once again. Watch carefully. That's efficient. One leg up, over, and out. Perfect. Amount of energy expended, almost zero. Because it's just a flowing move. It keeps it flowing. Only one leg gets off the bike and it just rolls right over. Now you ask yourself, why didn't Brian do what he did in the other logs on this log? Simple. There's not enough space over here to line up into a 90-degree angle. So you have to use your leg just to pivot it around. I'm thinking, Brian, if you can just do that one more time, we can watch where your leg pivots and how the bike swings around that and then goes over. Watch carefully. Watch carefully. Make note of the leg position. Leg comes out, pivot, whop, and over. That's it. Most people can do that, but they get a bit scared. So to learn that little technique will save you calories, time, and energy, and will make you faster. Practice with that type of technique.
Coming up to a ledge or an obstacle 2 feet, 3 foot high that is vertical, 90 degree, and then suddenly coming up to another obstacle, perhaps a log, perhaps another ledge. That's quite intimidating. And to learn the technique of the flow and of de-weighting over both at once will once again put you ahead of the competition, save you energy, and give you a whole lot of confidence. As you can see here, Brian is using a trials technique once again, the de-weighting as we have spoken about, and then straight away making sure his body position is correct and going over the log. In slow motion, you can see how he compresses. Lets the back wheel hit the top of the rock or the ledge. Note over there, it was the top. Then he keeps the front light so that it can step off the ledge. And in all of this, his eyes are actually focusing on the log ahead of him. Now his body weight is getting all the way to the back of the bike as he preloads. And straight away does the same maneuver, same technique over the log. No, just because the one's wood and the other one is concrete doesn't make the obstacle any different. The same technique is used, but doing it in sequence is a little bit harder than doing a single one. So do try this, and do try two or three in a row. It'll give you such a lot of confidence in an enduro when you do come up to obstacles. You can just see that, not going too fast, but being in control. Another point to look at there is the speed. Rather make sure, shall we say, that you are in line and that you've lined your obstacles up correctly, then go too fast and be out of control. Even putting your foot down and not wanting to just ride it over, as Brian has done there, will give you the ability to line up and make sure that your next obstacle is cleaned in a nice, controlled manner. Because if you don't do that, just behind this obstacle is a hole, and 10 to 1 your front wheel will go in and you'll go over the handlebars. So always line up correctly and always look ahead. Over there, Brian's just showing us how he actually is launching in case there was a big hole straight after this rock or this obstacle. Gives you the ability to launch right off straight away. And talking about control, look at that. Brian is he's just flat out showing off now. No, that's a technique that is so good because it shows you that his lining up is just perfect and his balance is right. Man, that is something to learn. Stepping it up, or stepping it down, or going on front wheel. All of this play riding is really about bike control. All it's doing is teaching you to be in control in any environment. And you can actually make great obstacles out of any environment you're really in. Over here, Brian's in a little coliseum that we happen to stumble across. And these steps might look small, but they're a good couple of feet apart and a good foot in height. So learning to take one after the other, once again, will just give you good bike control. It'll give you the ability to overcome an obstacle after an obstacle after an obstacle in sequence. Now, as you can see, it's just playing, learning where the limits are of the bike, learning how far you can go, getting very dizzy, and he's probably going to vomit from getting car sick. No. But look at that. It's just playing and learning the variables and where your bike can actually go and what it can do. The 500 shuffle. Man, check at this. This is a 500cc monster. Well, it's not really a monster. It's quite a maneuverable bike. But look at that. Check what Brian's doing with that. No one must tell you about a little 125 or 200 or 250 that cannot do these moves. If you've got the ability to do these type of things and the ability to control your bike like this, weight just becomes your friend because you can use the weight against whatever you're doing. This is a 500cc shuffle, and Brian is just making this thing dance. He is, once again, it's poetry in motion. Just look at that. Foot on the back brake. It's all about learning. You are doing a bit of freestyle here because, let's face it, you're not going to use this in a race or an enduro,
But man, it gives you bike control second to none. You know where your balance point is. You know where the power comes on and when the power comes off. The 500 shuffle, as we have named it, is really a testament to a person's ability to ride and control any bike. And a lot of people these days say, oh no, you have to go for very light two-stroke to do maneuverable things. But I can tell you one thing, after viewing this and after seeing the control, it's really, as Lance Armstrong said in his words, it's not about the bike. And as you can see, it's just effortless. You can see over there, it's all about doing it in such a smooth manner and such a controlled manner that you are actually not exerting energy. And it just looks so cool. You know, when your friends check you do this on a 500, they'll be blown away, because here they are on their little 125, 200, 250s or 300 for that matter, and they think, oh, that thing's too heavy. You cannot do it. But on a controlled environment with a bike that's balanced as well as this, you can do it. And it just shows you that ability far outweighs any shortfalls of any motorcycle. Drop-off. Man, a drop-off can bring fear to people's hearts. It's one of the single biggest fear factors in an off-road rider's skill test, because I think a human's got a natural ability to get a little bit scared if there's suddenly a ledge with a 5 or 6 foot drop-off in front of him. But you know, it's something that can be conquered. It's something that we can learn to do. If you look over here now, Brian, obviously he's a past master at doing this. But as you come up to the cliff or the wall or the whatever you have to drop off of, you preload. Look at that. Look at his legs. He's preloading now. Whack. Give a little bit of acceleration. Always make sure you keep that front wheel light. If you don't keep the front wheel light, it'll tuck in. You'll go over the bars, and there's a possibility of breaking the peak. So do not keep the front wheel under the bike or under non-powered movement. Make sure there's always power behind it, and then you will survive. The relevance of the stoppie, as you can see, the relevance of the stoppie over here is about bike control. As you can see, Brian is preloading once again. We always use preload. It'll run always through the system and through what we are doing here. As he is going through the stoppie, you can see the perfect balance point of just hitting enough front brake and balance as he's going forward over there. If you try this instantly at home or straight away, you very possibly go over the bars. So you've first got to get your balance point. There it is there. Okay, well, don't try and swing around like that straight away. You'll end up in the lake. But as you can see, it gives an ability on the bike and a control on the bike that is not only awe-inspiring, but geez, it looks good. And it'll help you tremendously in your riding, in the area of being able to stop on two wheels and having the confidence to hit your front brake at full speed, or not full speed, but at a speed, but being in control. What Brian is doing here is just, that's inhuman. That what he's doing over there is really an advanced move, and we're not really looking at that specifically because the turning and stopping like that is really only one of a few people in the world can do that. Over here, we can really see the stoppie, and how his weight just goes back and comes right. Then pivoting when you're stopping. Once again, this can be used in any form of off-road. What separates the good from the best or from the very good? It's little techniques. It's a technique like doing a pivot on a switchback, getting your angle correct, saving time, saving a lot of energy, and just setting the bike up. If you had to do this without that, you can't believe the amount of unbalanced feeling it brings to you and the amount of energy you will actually waste. And all it is using the bike's power, the bike's weight, and the momentum. It's not exerting energy. If you look carefully here at Brian, as you're coming up to a switchback, now imagine you're in a suit and you're coming down some seriously steep switchbacks. All you do is pivot and turn the front wheel to the left. Okay, here you're not pivoting, you're just turning. As it hits the base of where you're going, you hit that front brake, as you'll see Brian doing right now, and then move your body to the right. Just pivot, hence the word pivot. It's not rocket science. You pivot and the bike will follow. There is no energy used in this, and it sets the bike up in a nice straight course. And the rest of your journey is a lot easier because you haven't wasted energy. You feel pretty good because you've done a move that 98% of riders cannot do. And I can tell you one thing, it helps in the extreme technical and tight terrain.
It's an absolute must to learn. The wheelie, the standstill wheelie. What a fascinating skill to have. As you can see Brian over here doing this slow, magnificent slow wheelie. The control over here is what it really epitophizes riding an off-road bike. Look at his foot on the rear back brake. You can see total control the whole time. Body position is there and thereabout. He's always adjusting it. Look at his little left move over there just to make sure he's going in the right direction. And note, guys, always have the foot on the right or on your rear brake. If you don't, you will fall and hurt yourself. Brian is really an accomplished rider, and as you can see here, he's got full control of it. You saw there, that little quick move. Now he's doing a fast wheelie. Once again, foot on the back brake the whole time. Now you're going to see him in control, foot on the back brake, lifting it and then releasing the back brake and the front brake, making the bike almost bounce, coming into a slow wheelie. He's in such control of this at the moment, it's frightening. And you can see over there, he's almost putting the power on, engaging the power through the back brake. That is an amazing little technique to use because it really gives you control, and it gives you the ability to plant the bike and the front wheel, and the back wheel for that matter, wherever you want it to go. The wheelie is not just for show. Even for fast going, the stand-up wheelie, as you see over here, I mean, that's not just to look good for your mates. You're riding on a bit of a fast stretch, and suddenly there's a hole in front of you, a divot, a little ravine crossing. You always want your front wheel light, because if your front wheel's not light, you'll go head over heels. So just by learning to keep the wheel light, and perhaps maybe 1.5 feet, 2 foot off the ground, gradually lengthening it to 3 foot, you learn to know the exact pivot point of that motorbike. It is just such a skill to learn and such an art that it's just something that every off-road rider aspires to do. And I think if you ask any off-road rider, what is your main concern or skill you'd like to learn? And the thing is wheelie. But then they've got to decide whether they will or they won't. So it's wheelie or won't he? Okay, that was a little silly. But anyway, there, as you can see, Brian is totally in control. Body position almost standing. You can see at one point it is at 90 degree. There, 90 degree, and then he's going back just to give a little bit of a seesaw effect to make sure that the wheelie is right. Now this is a highly illegal maneuver we're doing over here, or Brian is doing over here. Phone 911. Not allowed to do this. Do not do this at home. But as you can see, look at that. Look at his feet. Note his feet positioning. Look at that foot on the back brake all the time. Over here you can see once again. Why is he doing the wheelie to the right hand side of the bike? So he can be in control of the back brake. Knee on the back. So what he's doing is he's pressurizing the back. He's giving a little bit of a bounce to lift that front wheel. Look at that front wheel. It's almost stopped, isn't it? And he used his front brake there a little bit, I think. Just gauging it, getting the balance point right. Now his balance point of his body and his back brake. Look at his right foot. Just look at that foot. It is in total control of that back brake. Now if you touch that back brake, even if the bike is higher than 90 degrees, it will shoot the front wheel down immediately. Thus, you will save yourself from a heavy roasting. Now, the standing wheelie is an advanced wheelie. It's more a show wheelie than something you would really use off-road. But it's very good to show you how the wheelie is actually dissected by him doing this. To show you his knee on the rear of the mud guard or the seat, putting a little bit of weight on the back, put a throttle on the right hand side and the foot on the rear brake. That is it really just shows you what the wheelie is all about. And now we can just see the front wheel just gauged. And coming up to 2 ledges or a ledge without a run-up is, it's a daunting little thing, and we've often done it. Now Brian's showing us over here. He's coming up a ledge, as you can see, weight all the way forward, because although that doesn't look slippery, that day it was very loose and very slippery. And as he gets to the top, he has to prepare himself for a ledge. And we're not talking a small ledge, we're talking a good 4 foot high ledge, and it was undercut as well. Straight away, on power, committing totally and getting over it. If you looked at his body positioning over there, look how far up it was. Look how far up he actually landed on that ledge, right there. And his bum was all the way back on the mud guard. It just shows you the confidence you have to have, and confidence you must learn to get over these type of obstacles. Ertsberg. Anybody who's watched Erzberg on TV knows that there's always a double whammy, a 2-stage hill climb. It's no good just doing one hill climb. People want 2 hill climbs so that you know straight after your first hill climb you've got something steeper, no run up, slipperier, and just downright hard right in front of you. Now Brian's done the Erzberg 3 times. He's finished in the top 10, and he's always done well at it. And if there's anything he'll tell you, they've always got 2 hill climbs, one after the next, and then another one after that, sometimes 3 in a row, sometimes 4 in a row. Now just looking at it now, you've got to know your commitment comes from the bottom. Your body position and commitment comes all from the bottom. You have to be in such control by the time you get over the first segment or part of the hill climb to prepare and set yourself up for the second stage of the hill climb. Now, as you can see, Brian's coming forward there. He's lining up. He knows which path he's going to take, and he should around about now be looking forward. He's going to start, obviously he's got to follow the line first. He'll follow the line, and then he'll start looking forward, knowing that there is no run-up as he turns. So as he does his turn there, he knows there's no run-up, and it's a slippery base that he's on, and he'll have to gas it, but in control. Because as you can see, the gradient becomes ever steeper. And looking at it over there, you can see it's a soft sand, it's slippery. So your body position means absolutely everything. And you've got to correct yourself knowing where the exact line is. Because everything from here is commitment. If you do not do it properly from here, you're going down. And if you don't get it right the first time, the second time is 200% harder because you are that much more tired. That's why in Erzberg, most people only get to the top 6 or 7 parts of the race, because they've done each climb 3 or 4 times. In step-up climbs and double climbs and even triple climbs, you've got to make sure that you get it right the first time. Now just look at that body position there. Look at, man, that's just masterful. Brian knows where it is. He knows where his power is on the bike. Following through there, you know, people think that a hill climb is always just a straight path up one ledge to another. It's not. You might possibly have to go through trees and obstacles and turn to the left and turn to the right. Follow a groove, go through a groove. Ever changing, remember that, it's never ever the same. The vertical climb. There's a little bit of a lip here, giving Mark a little bit of lift just before the vertical climb. As you can see over there, the whole rear tire pretty much scales the wall. The flat part of the wall is not even touched by the rear tire. If you look here carefully, he's preloading and then almost standing up a bit. You can see the tire misses the whole actual wall, the face of the wall. Now, obviously, if his tire had to go in there, it would probably give him a little bit of a backflip where he could fall backwards. Bruce is showing us another way. He actually hit that pretty hard or pretty fast, which gave him a lot of lift, as you can see there. It's probably better to do it a little bit slower and a bit more in control. Just watch how he does it. Once again, the legs. Whenever you see these trials boys do it, their legs absorb or deflect everything. Now over there, he did let the front wheel just glance off a sticking out part of the wall, and that just guided him over to where he wanted to go. But once again, legs, preload, and body adjustment. As mentioned earlier, nothing quite hits those chords of fear as a ledge or a wall in front of you that doesn't have a kicker. The fear of falling back or landing on your back off a steep ledge like this really is, it's not natural. It's like doing a bit of a bungee jump. It's not natural, and your body and everything in you says don't do it. There is a technique. Brent's going to show us now how to do it. As you can see with this wall or this ledge, it's got a kickback halfway or 3/4 of the way up the actual wall, which will, if not handled correctly, will throw you back to land on your butt. As you can see there, he's landing with the back wheel almost flying in the air. And when we do it in slow motion, you will see that he preloads and he adjusts his body. Well, there we have it. Now watch him. He's going for it. Body in the attack position. Always in the attack position. He's looking straight at the ledge. Note, not looking at his front tire. He's looking at the ledge and pretty much where that little obstacle is sitting out. Preloads it. Everything is preload to give you the ability to spring off something. And then hits that little piece, jumps it out. Sways his hips out a little bit to the left to counterbalance where the bike's going. You can see that the back wheel pretty much hopped about 3 or 4 foot, possibly even more. Front wheel followed over, but the back wheel hopped. It was following where he was preloading it. That's obviously doing it quick. You can see it can be done. Once again, it's an advanced move, but do practice it on smaller obstacles first. The two-step ledge. Now the whole trick to the two-step ledge, or the double ledge as we call it, is to first get your control or balance perfectly on. Make sure your line is 100% right. If you watch Brent over here, Brent Lariche, watch him preload there first. Let the front wheel absorb and then, I suppose, explode, not preload, and it jumps to the top of the ledge. Now it might look pretty easy, but Brent is a 9-time South African trials champion, so obviously he knows how to do this naturally. I wouldn't suggest doing something as small, because something like that can happen. Rather start off with something a little bit smaller. Mr. Mark Garland, our resident Husaberg rider, showed us quickly how to not to be done. You can see his body language wasn't close to what it should have been. Over here we've got Bruce. Now Bruce is 2-time South African champion. He's going to use a different technique. Once again, just look at these guys, look at their legs. He preloads as he's coming in attack mode, preloads, rides the front wheel into the embankment, watch this, there, bah, leans back and lets the back wheel absorb and shoot out. What that does is it springs him forward. Without that movement, you'll pretty much land on your bum, just like Mark did. And that's from the top view over there. He's going to jump the whole thing. There we are. That's doing it the quick maneuver. What he did before was the double step ride technique, which is actually a lot harder if you think about it. Brent's showing us how to absorb it and jump the whole thing in one shot. And it works so well. Not every hill climb requires or wants you to go straight up. A lot of steep rocky hill climbs necessitate the use of zigzags, specifically the loose rocks and the loose climbs. This is a type of climb that you will find at Roof Africa quite often. This will pretty much epitomize the roof in what you're actually doing. Use of legs is vital over here. You know, bang goes the trials theory of everything in controllability. All you want to do is make sure your weight's on the right side of the actual climb, and make sure you keep momentum. And when it's loose like this, it's vitally important that you roll the throttle on and don't just give a dab of the throttle. That'll create a momentum and not a spin. This technique is so very good, because most of our enduros in South Africa consist of ledges and climbs like this. You can see the rock's very loose, which will obviously stop your momentum, so you've got to just go inch by inch forward. I mean, Brent is a 10 times trials champion. You can see his feet are everywhere, because as I said before, right now the trials skill goes out the window. All you want to do is maintain a momentum and a grip and be able to pivot at the right times. You'll see over here what Brent is really trying to do is keep his weight on the back wheel, because you want as much bite and as much traction as possible, and also maintaining a momentum, pedaling away and then pivoting. It looks easy, and the gradient doesn't do justice here on the TV. This is actually very steep. Yes, now we get to the very hard and advanced moves. The tire scaling or deweighting over a tire. Most enduro crosses, in actual fact all enduro crosses, will have a truck tire, a bulldozer tire, or a big tire to just give you that little bit of an obstacle. It does bring fear into most people's hearts who don't know how to deweight like that. It's a trials maneuver, and you will find that most trials riders are pretty happy when this comes along. As you can see, Brent over here is preloading, and he's going to put his front tire right into the tire and squash it. What that actually does is it absorbs a certain amount of energy. He did stop here just to show his pure balance, but what it would have done is absorb the energy. He will then bounce down or put all his weight down on the rear shock. What that will do is give it spring, and when he jumps off the bike with his body, it'll give the bike lift. Now that didn't really show it 100%, but as you can see there, the bash plate did not touch the tire, which means that the back tire must have got considerable bite and giving it considerable height. Most of the times the guys will bash their bash plates on there and try and seesaw over it, but once again it costs you. Oh, there we have it there. Now Mark, what he did over there is a typical enduro rider. You're hitting with speed and it's still doing it. There's nothing wrong with the technique. He's starting to learn now about the front wheel, although there he's really glancing it. You can see poof. Now if you look at that carefully, his front wheel didn't really bash into it and preload. Therefore, his bash plate hit it at a 90-degree angle, and he lost control. His line of sight was totally out there. He did get up it, and most people will get up it and you won't notice it. But what it did do is take its toll as far as energy goes. If that tire was perhaps another foot higher, he wouldn't have got over. So remember the de-weighting technique. It is an advanced move, but it will certainly make life a lot easier. Right, here we can see Brett attacking the berm, coming into apex entrance, where he is coming in at a nominal speed, finding the outer line of the berm, the high edge. At this point he is balancing his left foot peg to keep the tire in traction to the upper part of the berm. You will also notice that he's got his right leg out, acting as a counterbalancer. It is not acting as a stop fall. It's not going to help him if he falls now. All it is a counterbalancer. And in this entire process, his vision or point of field must be between 10 and 15 feet ahead of him, looking where he's going and not looking right in front of him at the tire. As he exits, his balance goes to the center of the bike, bringing his body into the attack positioning, getting the back tire into full traction mode and accelerating out of the berm. The whole object of rock riding, and this type of rock riding, is to get through the obstacle with momentum and with little or as least amount of falling as possible. By carrying your momentum and guiding your front wheel to the appropriate rocks, that will get you through the obstacle or the obstacle field. Remember, there is no marks or there's no points for getting through without putting your feet down. So dab, put down, but whatever you do, keep the momentum and keep the front tire tracking straight or over the obstacle, not in the little obstacles.
All right, you'll notice now Bruce, he'll come down here, and very importantly, you'll see he'll put his foot quite far away from the bike. That's very important. If it's too close to you, you can't get the maneuver around. Now you'll see as well, he's got his one finger on his clutch there. He's now going to slip the clutch, but he's not just going to drop it. If he drops the clutch, that back wheel's going to spin too aggressively. So he's going to feed it in there. He's going to compress the front, then he's going to get a bit of weight on the back, and as it comes up, he's going to feed that clutch out, lift the bike. The higher he lifts the bike, the sharper it will turn. So there he goes. He compresses the front as well. He does a nice little pivot there with his foot. It swivels around, and off he goes.